One thing I'm going to say before we start this show is that this weather in the East Coast has been miserable. The wind is howling. It has been raining. We're waiting for Noah's Ark to pass by, and it's just ridiculous. And I have a spoiler alert, guys, that Nick Khan will not allow his Super Bowl to ever be held in an East Coast city that has no roof on it. All right. I know next year it might be in Minnesota, but you know what? That has a roof on it. All right. We might get cold weather, but fine. But it will not hinder our WrestleMania experience indoors. Trendsetter, this weather has just been miserable. I don't want to see 35 degrees. I don't want to see your rain out. I don't want to be freezing, but we might do that. But again, the card in itself will probably push us through. And you're watching the High Spot Podcast, HSP Podcast, with you on the Give a Shot Network. We are powered by Fast Break Coffee. We got your WrestleMania preview for you. Trendsetter, how you doing? But first and foremost, give us a like and subscribe. And then make sure you also follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. And, of course, on all major podcast platforms. All right, now, Trendsetter. I know the mood is kind of down with the weather, but we got WrestleMania to make it up. How you doing?
Listen, man, doesn't come to surprise to me that Nick Khan, right? Because if this is under Tony Khan's belt, definitely this would be something that we happen occasionally over and over again, not just occasionally. But no, man, it doesn't come as a surprise to me that that's not going to happen. I mean, the weather's been terrible. It's not literally spring here on the East Coast. It's always this type of weird weather going into April. You don't really start getting warm weather until probably the week after WrestleMania or literally in June. So doesn't come to a surprise. So, guys, if you're on the East Coast with us, enjoy it while you can, because this is theoretically the last one we're going to get, because I don't see MetLife Stadium getting a roof anytime soon. Neither will the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly from Lincoln Financial. Jeff, I'm excited, man. You know why? Because we've been talking about it for so long. Survivor Series seems like such a long time ago. We are here. It is now. We are not on the road anymore. We've stopped. We're in Philly, ready for this event. This card's going to get me through this cold weather, as miserable as it might rain. It'll be freezing cold outside where there are mitts and hats on, but it doesn't matter. You know why? Because I've been so looking forward to this WrestleMania for a very, very long time. The card is set for the most part. A lot of things can happen last minute. You never know. There's always changes that could happen there. But dude, I am so stoked for this. This is what we live for. This is my Christmas. This is my Kwanzaa. This is my Hanukkah. This is my New Year's. This is everything I've ever looked forward to as a pro wrestling fan. Can't wait to talk about it, and we don't want to do with anybody else but you, man.
All right, man. So we got nights 1 and 2. We're going to get you covered here. Make sure you follow us on all our social media again at High Spot Podcast this whole weekend. We got one major announcement, though, is that we will be at WrestleMania and also, of course, the Remix Rumble we've got going on. So just check our social media for all that stuff going on. All right, Trendsetter. Like you said, this card has been built up. And we are getting to the point where, you know what, in just a few hours, we are going to have this tremendous card. Night 1, let's preview it, Trendsetter. WrestleMania Night 1 on Saturday on Peacock. And then for all the fans in there again, let's just hope for good weather. But let's talk about it, Trendsetter. The matches, 7 matches for Night 1. It's a loaded card. Now, we'll probably ask you this after we review the whole card here, but a lot of people are tending to see that the first day it looks to be stacked. A lot of people are already making comparisons, which day is better. If you're only going to one show and you got to decide, do I go Saturday and see The Rock, or do I see Roman and Cody Night 2? So you got some choices to make, but we'll be there on both nights, and we will start with WrestleMania Night 1, Trendsetter. Let's talk about a matchup that at first we were like, I don't know if Sami Zayn could be the guy. I don't think there's any chance that he is going to win. But the last few weeks have kind of left the door open, and I think in a good way, to think that, hey, Sami Zayn might pull off the impossible. I've been surprised that WWE and Triple H have been invested in Sami the way they have, because I thought he was going to be forgotten after the whole run he had with the Bloodline and then losing the tag team titles. He had that run with Kevin Owens. But then after that, he's kind of took some time off. There was a little bit of a slump, kind of doubted himself again. Maybe it was a fluke last year what happened with his main event push. Maybe it was just more Bloodline associated, but he was on a roll last year. He kind of took it by storm, the whole 2023. And this year, it was kind of a bit of a lull period. And then when you have Gunther, who's 600-plus days champion, who's just a strong guy that just looks like out of central casting of this villain, right? Of this big, this huge, larger-than-life character. you don't really think that Sammy's a chance. And we are all pulling for Chad Gable because he had the underdog story. It was in Philadelphia, so he was the ultimate underdog. But somehow they managed to pull this off with having Gable align with Sami Zayn, and now there is actually that slim chance, that door open, that Sami Zayn could walk away and pull the upset and beat Gunther. Now, is it still where I would bet against Gunther? No, but the door is slightly open that I might make a shocking pick here and go with Sami Zayn. But before we do that, how about this build the last few weeks for Sami Zayn and Gunther? Because I think it's been outstanding.
Listen, there's no doubt that I feel a lot of people were behind Chad Gable. They wanted him to get that opportunity. I think there was some, not a lot, but some resentment a little bit because they wanted Chad to have that spot rather than Sammy. But again, you could see both sides of the stories they were building towards this. Both wanting to have, as they say now, quote unquote, their WrestleMania moment, right? So in this scenario, Chad's still involved. I don't know in terms of, it kind of feels fishy to me that despite the fact that Chad is trying to help assist Sammy and have him, like you said, regain his confidence back because he is riding the tidal wave momentum going into WrestleMania. Before, when you first saw this match set up, you're like, okay, the Chad Gable Gunther made more sense to me in terms of it was a lot more personal. Now with Sammy involved, like how are you going to do this where it feels like, okay, well, this is gonna be an easy one for Gunther. Right now, you're developing the layers there for Sammy to possibly win. That's what you want, really, basically, when you set up a match like this, especially with a dominant champion like Gunther. You know, you want the possibility that it might happen. Will it? We'll talk about that in a second, right? But I have this tendency to think that this whole thing with Chad Gable and Sammy kind of working together and Chad being kind of a mentor or kind of a guidance or a life coach or just a coach in general, I feel like there's a betrayal about to happen there in some way, and I don't want that to happen. You know why? Because I feel like Chad has done so much to get to this point that I want him to still be on that side where people are rooting for him, not instead of rooting against him. Like he's a bitter guy that his opportunity was squandered and taken away from him, and he has nobody to blame but Sammy. For Sammy's perspective, though, you're right. He had so much momentum last year, you know, betraying the bloodline, having that amazing match with Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber, and now, you know, winning the tag team titles with his good friend Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 39. And then from there, kind of the wheels fell off to a certain extent, right? Now seems like he's getting his confidence back. So as a fan, I'm invested because I like Sammy and Gunther, a dominant champion. I just think the wrong guy's in there, in my personal opinion. But again, it's still gonna be intriguing. You know why? Because Sammy has been running a hot streak right now. He's had amazing matches, so I wouldn't expect anything less at WrestleMania with the guy that does amazing things, and to me hasn't even reached his primate in Gunther. So I'm looking forward to this match a lot. I'm still invested in it, but I would have preferred Chad Gable in this spot.
You got to think that they're going to push Gunther into that main event level pretty soon. I don't know how far it accelerates after Mania or whether they are seeing him on that level in the very near future. But if they were going to pull the trigger here, they've actually opened up the seat of not doubt on Gunther because he's still so strong and he came off strong last Monday night. But still, though, there is that frustration level that, Gunther's frustrated that Chad Gable's helping him out, that he thinks these two guys, they don't stand a chance. And when you do that, what happens? You become susceptible to taking your opponent lightly. So if there's going to be an upset, and it's Philly town, and we're talking about the upsets and how maybe you say that Philly's not an underdog city anymore.
Not
Well,
anymore. No.
they still have that rep, and they're still going to go with it. And I think that I might pay for this, but I got to go against the grain. I'm going to say Sami Zayn walks away as a new Intercontinental Champion. Just that one seedling that we saw this past Monday, and that great montage there, kind of Rocky-esque montage there where Sammy's a little bit afraid of letting his family down. And I don't think he's going to let his family down. Now, maybe Gable turns on him down the road. I wouldn't want to see Gable as a heel, though. He's done such a tremendous job to get that following as well. So maybe a face Sammy and a face Gable me down the road. But I think that if that does happen, watch Gunther move back to that, not back, but forward to that main event level.
Listen, I've said this before to you, and maybe a lot of people didn't catch it when I said it, though. But I think Gunther will be champion all the way to SummerSlam. I knew his vision. He envisioned himself to main event WrestleMania 40. Obviously, that's not happening because he's still the Intercontinental Champion. He hasn't moved himself up to the main event position because He'll have to let the title go until he can get to that spot, right? But I see Gunther still being champion around SummerSlam, and SummerSlam being such a prestigious event as well in terms of the last event of the summer and how they want to make that a huge thing. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't agree with you here, Jeff. I can see your point. I can see where a lot of fans would be rooting for Sammy, and definitely he's going to have the crowd behind him because it does have that feeling of Rocky wanting to go the distance. It does it end like Rocky 2 or does it end like Rocky 1, right? I think it's going to end like Rocky 1. He goes the distance, but just it's not going to be enough with Gunther. He's just too dominant right now. If it was going to go to anybody, and again, this is the sentimental side of me, right? The one that loves the story, the artsy fartsy, as Shawn Michaels would say, right? In terms of the Chad Gable story. With Sammy, it's still a really good story. I just think Gunther right now will continue his dominance. He will retain and still be Intercontinental Champion after WrestleMania 40 concludes. So I'm going with Gunther on this one.
And if you're going to make a play for Sammy, if you're a betting guy, just remember this, though. It's not been Triple H's MO to just pull off an upset like this. They do love the long tenured champions. So that would be a reason why I would not make the play for Sammy. But if you're feeling lucky and you got a few shekels to put out on this and you're going to bet, hey, you want to go with Sammy? Just don't go by me. I'm just going off a feeling because I think that,
This is why I don't gamble, Jeff.
there you go. Especially you don't want to trust me, but I got Sammy, and the trendsetter is going to go with Gunther. All right, trendsetter, we got the ladder match where I'm telling you right now, you're starting to see little cracks in the armor here with Judgment Day because they just can't seem to get along right now. They've got intrusion within their, in their lair, so to speak, in the locker room where you have other factions being invited by Dom Mysterio, and you can see that maybe Dom wants to maybe step out a little bit, not feeling that respect, possibly, maybe aligning with Santos and maybe Andrade down the road. Damian trying to get everyone together. Mommy not being on the same page with Dom and JD McDonough just losing all the time. And then Finn is just kind of there too, just kind of like being quiet, maybe a little bit of a stir himself of what's going on here. But you got a lot of talented tag teams. You got DIY in here. You've got Miz and R-Truth. And those are two teams right there that, hey, they have a viable chance. DIY could steal the show with some of their moves, but let's talk about Miz and R-Truth for a little bit here. These are the sentimental favorites. And then I also want to get to you on a stipulation that Michael Cole keeps saying that they have to, the teams have to capture both titles. Could there be a chance that we see the split of the unified champions and we get two winners, which will cause some controversy and maybe a decision down the road that maybe they just keep each champion on each brand? But I know that's a loaded question, Trendsetter. But first and foremost, Miz and R-Truth kind of right now seem to be that sentimental underdog story that a lot of people are pulling for.
Well, that's the theme of WrestleMania right now, the underdog story, right? In terms of whatever you want to do, whatever story or match is going on right now, you're rooting for the underdog. Is it going to happen in this world? I'm sorry, folks. It's not a storybook any all the time. But I understand the sentimentality there with Miz and R-Truth. R-Truth being such a long-stay veteran of WWE. Literally anything he does right now is just comedic gold, and not just because he's good at humor. It's just everything he does right now, he fully commits to it. So regardless of how silly or funny it is, you just appreciate R-Truth in terms of what he offers WWE in terms of entertainment and obviously in the ring. He has chemistry with Miz. I think Miz has kind of evolved himself to that point where, yeah, he could be the Miz. He's awesome. We can boo him all. But I think he's reached a certain stage in his career, at least from my perspective, that he's just garnered a lot of respect. And there've been a lot of, you catch the A&E biographies and catch A&E rivals, and him and Bryan Danielson, the biggest hypocrite in professional wrestling. And it's the scenario where he's earned my respect in terms of whether you like him or not, and how he got into the business, where they paid his dues. He has paid his dues. He has literally gone out there and been a spokesman for WWE, spokesman for everything the company could want. So for the sentimental favorites, I get it. And you want them to have success because for the most part, R-Truth and Miz really haven't had too many moments, especially when it comes to one of the biggest shows of all time, WrestleMania. So that would be a great hurrah. It'd be a great cheer for the crowd. They would love to see that happen. As opposed to what's going on with the Judgment Day right now, you're seeing chinks in the armor here right now. I don't know if it's going to fully happen. We talked about this before during the Royal Rumble, like what's going to happen. I think that they're leading you to it. I don't think it's initially going to happen there. I'll give you my prediction in a second, but in terms of that, you're seeing now Rhea Ripley, and we'll talk about her match with Becky Lynch. Dominic kind of wanted to be his own man right now, and Damian Priest focusing on, Senior Money, Mr. Money in the Bank, and Finn being kind of the odd man out with his boy JT like behind him. It just really feels right now like it's starting to implode a little bit now. And we're not going to necessarily, I feel, see it at WrestleMania, but that's the case. But you look at all these teams: DIY, the New Day, the new team, the new Catch Republic with Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, A Town Downtown, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. Just this has the ability, and you know how much I love tag team wrestling, right? It could steal the show, especially a ladder match. Now, with those winning conditions in Philly, might be a big deal. But to answer your question real quick about the titles being separate, I don't personally like that. I would have preferred it to, but then this unification and the mere fact that they're carrying a red and blue, and I think right now when you've seen the change in terms of how they've distinguished the U.S. the Intercontinental title on different brands, but then you have the world title and now the WWE Championship or the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship, whatever you want to call it. I think they're really set on keeping them separate, but around this time right now, I don't know if that's something that's eventually going to happen immediately down the road. They have to capture both titles. I get it, but at this point right now, that division, in my opinion, is so depleted in terms of quality tag teams. Now, they're good tag teams, but I don't think the depth is there. That I would probably want to see the champions, whoever they are, after the end of this, and I'll ask your opinion who's going to win. I want them to be on all shows because that just promotes more tag team. Until you have a more in-depth roster of teams that are established, that's where I'd want to separate them from a Raw, a SmackDown, or an NXT. So that's the route I would go.
So you say they're going to steal the show, but then you say that that tag team division is depleted. You're just talking about just depleted in
The
general.
match itself is going to steal the show, Jeff. The roster for tag team wrestling is kind of depleted right now. Where we're seeing these teams I just mentioned before, but we haven't seen them enough. We've only seen DIY literally establish themselves in NXT. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, they're kind of new to the scene in terms of they're developing their tag team in terms of the momentum they're going to carry. A Town Down Under, it's still fairly new, so it's not a strong roster, but it's going to steal the show because all these guys are athletic, and the New Day have been around forever, so.
So yeah, New Day are the veterans, which I was going to get it to that. Hey, they're the vets here, so they have obviously they've been there before, and then obviously the other two, as far as Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, and then Theory and Waller, again, they probably have the least opportunity here, the least chance to pull off an upset. So I would think that it would be Miz and R-Truth, and because they've tag team before, and then obviously you have an established tag team in the New Day, who this is like nothing for them. This is just another opportunity here to regain the title. So they've been there, they've done that. So again, they also they should not be counted out. But at the end of the day, though, that stipulation, I just hear Michael Cole saying that a lot, and I hear it pointed out by a lot of people that are like really obviously they're listening and they're looking at everything written down, trying to find any any hidden clues or anything like that. But if they're going to split it up, there could be two winners here. So minus that, though, if there was going to be someone that just takes it all, right? It's not going to be the Judgment Day. I think we're going to get new tag team champions. I think that right now, I'm going to say Miz and R-Truth. I'm going to say Miz and R-Truth pull this off. Now, R-Truth could pull off something crazy and something dumb and just, spoil it all for the Miz, but I think he's gonna get his act together, and I think we're gonna get new tag team champions. I can tell you this though, if it's separate, maybe the Miz and R-Truth, and maybe you get a team like DIY because Triple H loves them. He loves them for as much as a lot of people don't think they're getting over. Triple H has a lot of confidence in them, so maybe you get split champions there. But I can tell you right now though, I don't think Judgment Day is walking out. As
Yeah, that's again, and I love it that I disagree with you here because we never, I hate when we agree on everything. I think Judgment Day retains. I really do. But for what I talked about before, I think they're showing chinks in the armor. But as this new regime in WWE is in terms of long term storytelling, you're seeing signs of it. We saw signs in the beginning too when it came to the bloodline of it breaking out. And so many times Sammy could turn, or they could have turned on Sammy. We kept waiting when it was going to happen. And although the likelihood it could be that it could happen at WrestleMania, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think they'll survive by the skin of their teeth. They'll retain the titles. They'll be the unified champion still. But again, this is just another opportunity to help establish those other teams that aren't that well known that we just mentioned before, to create more depth, more consistency in this tag team division, in my opinion, because that's what's lacking right now. And it's always cool to have the chasers chase the Judgment Day until that's finally set in terms of this is the team you want to go with, this is the team you want to be your new champions. Could it be R-Truth and Miz? Possibility, high possibility in terms of the fan favorites right now. I just don't see that happening in WrestleMania. I see Judgment Day retaining.
A very interesting star-studded 6-woman tag team match here between Jade Cargill and Naomi and Bianca Belair against Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. This is, to me, a very, very entertaining match, and a match that obviously kind of is done in a way to protect Jade a little bit, because obviously she made a great impression at the Rumble, and then she added it for another successful debut on SmackDown. And then she got involved, and they kept it simple. And obviously, this is a big step. They're taking every precaution whatsoever to protect their investment. But now you're going to get an amazing entrance. You're going to get, obviously she looks the part, acts the part, but now she's got to do it in the ring. And they're going to remember this one. This is going to be a key one for her, because it is WrestleMania. And at the end of the day, I just don't see that team of Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill losing whatsoever. So if you're going to ask me here on this matchup, as much as I love Damage Control here, I just don't see them winning against that powerhouse team on that other side of the ring.
If I took the third match first, to agree, right? I don't see that happening either. They had some great ways of trying to change her mind on SmackDown, having them be dominant in 3 women tag team matches. It's not going to happen here. And really, it's going to be more of a showcase of skill. I'm not saying that Damage Control is going to be destroyed. It's going to be like a 7-minute match or a 6-minute match or anything like that. I think they're going to have their time there to be able to work. But yeah, the way this is set up right now, I mean, you're great to see Bianca, great to see Naomi involved in WrestleMania, and then not being oversighted for the fact that she came back and now was going to be on the card. But a lot of people are looking at this and focusing on Jade. It really is. I mean, taking nothing away from Damage Control, taking nothing away from Bianca Belair. She's already shown what she can do. She's already shown she's a star. Naomi as well, in terms of her veteran leadership, in terms of how long she's been with the company, right, and what she can do in the ring, the success she's had as a champion. So this is more of showcasing Jade, I feel. It's going to highlight her, similar to what happened in the Rumble. Protecting, yeah, that's one way of saying it too. I just think more of it's like it's easier to highlight Jade in this type of scenario until time comes for her to kind of go on her own and do more singles matches. And hopefully at that time, when it does happen, not if, but when it does happen for her, it's going to be more of that she's going to be in there and can hold her own. I mean, this woman has that it factor that you and I have been talking about. She looks like a star. She acts like a star. She has that quality that draws people to you, similar to to Bianca, I feel too, because Bianca, from what she did in NXT, is skyrocketed so much in terms of her ability to talk. We know Jade can talk, and her ability to showcase her athleticism, which Jade definitely has, and so does Naomi. So this is a great combination. I think it's gonna be a great match. I think it's gonna be fun to watch. But Damage Control right now, I don't think stands a chance in this one. So I got Bianca, Naomi, and Jade winning this one.
And another match that we talked about this too the last few weeks is there's gonna be some matches here that you wish, oh, the buildup could have been a little bit better. But you know what? It is what it is now, because there's no turning back, because this is the match. And again, this is, I believe, something where everyone's going to get involved anyways. You got Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio teaming up against Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. So, I'm a huge fan of Dragon Lee and not really a huge fan of. See, here's the thing: I love what Triple H has done, and nothing's going to be perfect. And people are going to lose, and there's always going to be something. I thought that the Dragon Lee presentation was good in the beginning. I think they really felt like they were invested in him, but obviously the losses have piled up, and the presentation has also been a little bit dumbed down. Maybe because they're in WrestleMania season, they're trying to showcase the main event, so we haven't really focused a lot on Dragon Lee. But to have him come out and be Ray's partner, obviously he's done the same thing to Santos when Carlito was coming in there, and now Dragon Lee is getting the become a new member of LWO, and Carlito, who's been loyal to Ray, now is taking the back seat. Now, obviously here, Dom obviously is trying to avenge that loss from last year in one of the most entertaining matches of the whole Mania card from last year. And again, this to me would be so much better if I had a few more weeks to build up. And it just seems like this whole LWO thing. It just seems LWO can't win constantly. And same thing with Garza and Humberto. They just can't. They just can't have constant wins. So it's like I don't know. It just the LWO feels a little bit incomplete as strong as they are now that Ray's back. But I mean, again, I wish they had a proper build. I wish it wasn't just a few weeks in. And I know Dom is going to do his job. I think he's going to be entertaining. And like I said, we're getting to schmaz anyways because everyone's going to get involved. So I'm going to say that. Let me just say here, Santos and Dom are going to get the win here. I think Dom gets his win back, and I guess they're going to continue some sort of storyline there because it's going to intertwine. Where does Andrade fit? Where does Dominic fit now if he aligns with Santos? So you have a lot of great stuff after WrestleMania, but I just think that this matchup, I think, man, the build got hurt. That they didn't hype it up much longer, maybe because Ray was hurt too. But this is a match where I'm just going to say Santos and Dom get the victory.
Like I use the word schmaz, a lot of wrestling terminology there.
Hart schmaz. And dude, kudos. Did you know that Bret Hart, Bleacher Report, did a top 50 wrestlers, and Bret Hart got number 1?
Doesn't surprise me. There's a reason why they call me excellence execution. There's a reason why a lot of people nowadays, as your boy CM Punk is, love Bret Hart. They just have so much respect and admiration for the excellence of execution. So it doesn't surprise me there in terms of one of the greatest. I want to say he's one of the greatest performers.
So it's the Bleacher Report, the top 50 greatest WWE superstars of all time.
Yeah,
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, man, one of the greatest storytellers. You want to talk about performer all around in general? It's up for debate, but to me, he's one of the best storytellers in the ring. The best ring psychology I've ever seen, if that's such a thing, or people who believe in ring psychology, goes to Bret Hart. To this match, though, what you were talking about before, I'll just give my pick right now. I tend to agree. I think it's going to be Dominic and Santos becoming victorious in this. There's only so many hours in the day, right, Jeff, where you can kind of promote this. Main focus has been on the main card, the Cody, Roman Reigns, Rock, Seth Rollins, as it should, right? Because that's the moneymaker. That's what you're building your card on. The undercard sometimes doesn't have the ability there. But for what they have been able to use in terms of TV time, they've done their best. I would have preferred a Rey Mysterio Dom 2, singles one-on-one. I would have preferred that. Dominic get his win there, and then the rubber match at another WrestleMania or SummerSlam or whatever to end it there in terms of these two and that rivalry, because it's still going on. It's not over anytime soon. So by winning this, I don't think Dom necessarily gets his victory back, but we start getting the ability, the fact that this is still unfinished business between Ray and Dom. As for Dragon Lee, excited to see him there too. But you see Carlito, the odd man out. So at what point is Carlito going to turn his back on the NWO because he feels unappreciated? And I think he's been unappreciated since he came back to the main roster and came back to the WWE. They haven't really been using him. It's kind of been more of a side piece for the LWO. It really has been used on TV or storylines in general. So in terms of this, you said a beautiful thing in terms of consistency. This whole thing with the LWO and then Santos and his group, they have been consistently inconsistent, and hopefully that changes after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I would say so too. So again, hopefully, there's story there, but obviously now that WrestleMania season is gonna take a back. Well, it's over, so maybe we'll get more storylines involved with these guys now after WrestleMania. All right, trendsetters. So let's go. The Man versus Mommy for the WWE World Championship, Women's World Championship. Obviously, they are. It's been a great build. It's been a very good build. Becky Lynch is coming off as that kind of, I guess, that cranky old timer that's not liking the way the new things are going because she's paved the way a certain way that she wants it to be, and Mommy's just changed it a little bit. And Mommy's the new girl in town, obviously the dominant new girl in town that's looking to put another notch on her win belt and beat a legend like Becky Lynch. I like the way it's been done. Obviously, Becky has been in the same boat that Rhea's been, right? She was changing the game, and now she's got a daughter. She's a mom, and so now she's on the other side of making sure that the future's bright for the rest of the females, building that division up.
Also, don't forget future best-selling author too.
Yes, congratulations on the book too as well. So in general, I love the build to this. I think it's been great. I think that I actually want to see this one. Becky Lynch, what she can do. And of course, Rhea's got that match with Charlotte Flair that's in the back of our minds. It's still, it should have been like one of the, should have maybe probably main evented one of the WrestleManias last year. And you remember it so well, it's still stuck in your mind that, now with Becky Lynch, they're going to put another banger. So I'm going to say that Mommy is going to retain the championship here. As much as Becky Lynch, I think Becky Lynch will take some time off, and then we got that little clout there with the 2 months left on her contract. Does she take some time off? Does she come back re-energized? We don't know about that. So I'm going to go with Mommy. I'm going to go Mommy becomes she retains the championship.
Yeah, and this one I agree. Unfortunately, I agree with you because listen, as much as I like the build up to it, and they've been building this up for the longest time in terms of always having Rhea and Becky interact with each other and thinking, oh, this is a potential WrestleMania matchup right here, and throwing the Easter eggs there that could possibly happen sooner or later, and then we knew where it was leading up to in terms of that. I don't know if I particularly like the build up in terms of the fact that Becky says she necessarily needs this to see if she still has it, whatever it is, or she still can be that top performer. I mean, this is the first time, I guess, and this is what I guess makes it compelling. The first time you see Becky somewhat doubting herself, because when she was the man, she was 100% confident. You know, when she got punched in the face by Nia Jax, had all the confidence in the world, no matter who the opponent was or whatever the obstacle was. She knew she was going to come out on top. She was going like Mommy, right? Come out on top and surpass whatever obstacle she had to deal with. This scenario too just feels a little bit different, and also you see more of an emotional side of her. I don't know, it's because of more, it's getting personal. Rhea did speak about Becky's daughter, and did speak about her father, who's it's an emotional topic for Becky. So I do see Becky taking some time off of this, whether it has to do with the contract, the extension, whatever the case might be. I think it's more of a notch in Rhea Ripley's belt right now. I mean, she had the amazing rivalry with Charlotte Flair, which I think it's not over yet between the two of those. When Charlotte is 100% comes back, but it's just, again, back to the storytelling we were talking about before in terms of when you spoke about Gunther and what we will talk about eventually with Roman Reigns. It's just like showing this dominant side, this long term storytelling that they're getting to the point where they're able to do it. They're able to, and it's working right now in terms of showing the fact that Rhea Ripley is this new version of something that we haven't seen in a long time. There's nobody like her. I would even compare it so much as to when we first met China, right? There's nobody like China, and she was just uniquely different. And that's what Rhea is right now. She's not even reached her prime, I feel, but she's the most comfortable and the most believable character. As much as they're cheering her, she's trying to be a heel or a bad guy. She's just so, and I know people hate to use the term like this, over, but I think she's just so over with the crowd in terms of they love her. Anything she does is exciting. And I see her coming out victorious. And I wouldn't say it's a dominant fight. Here's the thing, I've never been a fan of Becky Lynch's work per se in the ring.
Maybe back and forth like Charlotte and Rhea was last year.
Yeah, but it's gonna be more of a fight. It's not gonna be a wrestling match. It's gonna be a fight between the two of these, and Mommy, as always, comes out on top.
And again, too, like you're talking about, what does Becky Lynch have to lose here? Again, she's got a lot to lose. Her legacy, and obviously now she's got a family to think about too. So that way, it turns when you get a little bit older and you have more responsibilities, right, and more priorities. You don't become that Rhea Ripley who has nothing to lose because you're on top of the world. You got nothing to lose. You got your title. You're young and everything. So I think
Doesn't Becky seem more vulnerable now because she's so emotional about things? We've never seen this from her before.
it's her legacy. It's her legacy. And she has more to lose, obviously, because she's a mother now. She's got more responsibilities too, more to lose for Becky. So I mean, I think it's really well done. All right, Trendsetter, to yeet or not to yeet, that is the question. Again, this is one that I think needed more time, more in the ring besides just run-ins and stuff. And by having Jimmy just cost Jey Uso various championships at some point in the last few months, a lot of people say this match should have happened sooner, but they kept it for WrestleMania because they wanted it on that grand stage. Obviously, I kind of agreed to that point. It should have been done earlier, maybe maybe before that. But we get it here. I understand why, and the anticipation. I'm gonna love it because again, it is brother versus brother. We've only had 3 of these, and talk about how about this fact, this little tidbit. We had only 2 other times where brothers fought each other. WrestleMania 10, Owen Hart and Bret 10. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy 25. Each 15 years apart. 15 years. WrestleMania 40.
I don't count the Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy one. That was not a good match.
Well, it's
I
still
don't count that one at all.
legit brothers, not Kane and Undertaker. So obviously, don't want to ruin it for you guys, but they're
Or
right.
Edge and Christian, yeah, which they never faced at WrestleMania, but they're not really brothers. I get it.
So yeah. So again, I'm still gonna look forward to this. I think Jey Uso is gonna come out a winner here. Now, is there outside interference? There could be. Solo could outside interfere here, and we could get a prolonged one here. But Jay's got to win this one, man. Jay in Philly, we got to get that. We got to get that excitement from the crowd. So we got to get Jey Uso with the victory here. I'm gonna go Jay.
I'm going with Jay too. This goes back to what you said before. This is one that definitely could use a lot more time. It felt like it was done last minute. Just the match, just the card in itself, in terms of Jay and Jimmy, there's so much more story there that could be told that they could have gone into, which they didn't. They're just hoping that people who followed along with the whole bloodline story that went into the fact of the breakup and Jay leaving the bloodline, that's going to be substantial enough for you to feel emotionally invested in this, which we are. So yeah, I see Jay winning this one, but man, it could have been this one could have been built up really well, really good as well. I mean, like I said, very rare occasion to see two actual brothers facing each other off in WrestleMania. It is a rare occasion. This one could have had a lot more to it, but regardless, it's going to be a good match. It's not going to be a one and done, obviously. So I guess they're pitting on that to be the this factor that this isn't going to be over after WrestleMania, which I don't expect it to be. And so Jay's coming out victorious on this one to give the crowd something to cheer for, something to be happy about. It'll be Jay Uso coming on top.
And then, of course, you get the big one, the big tag team match. Maybe perhaps they're building it as the greatest tag team match ever in WrestleMania history. Perhaps maybe in the history of professional wrestling. The Rock and Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, and Seth freaking Rollins. Listen, man, you could say that now that Cody's bought him a watch, he's gonna turn on his ass. But you don't know. That's the greatest thing. This is the funny thing about this. We can tell you about the matches and stuff like that, and tell you who you think is gonna win. But we do not know whatsoever what's going to happen in the night two. This is so unpredictable. We could just be totally wrong here, and maybe the Rock turns on. See, we're trying to predict the match, but we don't know what's going to happen whatsoever. So if you're going on this, they're trying to make the road really hard for Cody. What will be much harder is that we get Bloodline Rules on Sunday. So I'm going to say that we're going to get the Rock and Roman Reigns to defeating Seth freaking Rollins and Cody in Seth Rollins' first WrestleMania main event. Hence why Cody gave him the watch. They seem to be on a friendly kind of in a friendly kind of way, kind of synced. But you can't trust Seth freaking Rollins, man. You can't trust Seth freaking Rollins. So if you do, and it comes out where everything's clean, I still say that the Rock and Roman Reigns are going to find a way to win. And is he going to give Mama Rhodes that blood-soaked belt? Is he going to draw blood that first time? There is so much that we cannot predict here, and even the match, we don't know what's going to happen. The outside interference, it's going to happen, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be amazing. But on match itself, gotta go Rock and Roman.
You just hope they don't run out of steam after night one. The anticipation, the build up, the fact that so much is riding on night two from the outcome of night one. And like you said too, like you can't trust Seth freaking Rollins, right? I agree with that statement 100%. I wouldn't trust him at all in terms of Seth because he's proven time and time again that he can turn on you in a dime as long as it's for his best interest, right? But in this scenario, I can see it happening in terms of the logic behind it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And the reason why is I just feel right now Seth is doing such a great job as a face right now that the W wants to keep that going. I think he'll cost Cody unintentionally. He'll be the weak link in the group. He'll be the one that probably gets the pin, loses the match for him to make the mountain more unclimbable for Cody for night two, right? For Bloodline Rules match. But in terms of this, I see Roman and Rock coming out victorious in this one. I really do. I just think the fact that if you have Roman lose two nights in a row, even though he doesn't have to be the one to lose, I can't see The Rock getting pinned. I can't really see Roman getting pinned in this one. The only person I could see losing could be Cody. I mean, that would be really a blow if he loses going into night two, right? But when it comes to the scenario of just making it more difficult, more insurmountable, I don't think Cody survives the final boss here, but it will lead to night two. So I have Rock and Roman coming out on this one. I think Seth right now has his own problems in night two because after this happens and the demolishment of losing this tag team match, he's gonna have to face a pretty insurmountable task himself in night two when he's defending the world title too. So I see The Rock and Roman come out victorious in this one, and this will all lead to night two. People are like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
it's a free for all for night two now."
imagine this is just one night. My God, it would be crazy. But it is. You'll get to take a deep breath and recuperate, and head there for the next night on the Sunday for WrestleMania Night 2. And that's where we talk about that. Night 1 has always been, I mean, last year, obviously, Night 1 to me was much better than Night 2. Obviously, the matches were much better. I just felt it was just, that excitement of having Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn walk away those tag team titles. We were souped and everything like that. And then obviously having Cody Luce, Roman Reigns, that Night 2 kind of deflated that whole SoFi crowd. But we get a Night 2 trendsetter again. Let's go. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton and Logan Paul, triple threat for the United States Championship. Obviously, we've thrown all the flowers possible at Logan Paul. Now this is going to be a triple threat. Kevin Owens finds himself in this match with Randy Orton. Do you give Randy the title? Does he need the title? Is this just,
No, he doesn't need it.
just to make Logan look better? Kevin Owens is going to do something crazy here. Does Logan walk away the champion? And, you got to think about this too. You're trying to build Logan a little bit, losing last year at WrestleMania to Seth Rollins. I'm just going to put it out there, man. I think Logan Paul is going to walk away with the champion still.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. I think Logan's going to walk out as still your United States champion. And the reason why is I just feel that, Orton doesn't need the title. Of course, Kevin's the one been chasing it too. But I just think right now, the way you're building up Logan Paul as this guy who you just despise, it just means more. It makes more sense to have the title on Logan right now. He's still somebody who's still coming in his own. I think this triple threat match, in a certain way, as complicated as triple threat matches can be, somewhat protects him in a way, because at the same time, it's not a one-on-one match with Randy Orton. It's not a one-on-one match with Kevin Owens. So now you have the unpredictability where, yes, the title can be lost from Logan Paul. He could lose it. He doesn't need to get pinned. But at the same time, so many twists and turns can happen in this match where, like, before you know it, Logan Paul can sneak out with a win with his friends obviously helping out. Probably KSI is probably going to be there, and who knows, a whole bunch of his friends from his podcast will help him out on this one. But I see Logan Paul coming out victorious, and I really feel that WWE is really set on having him as champion. I think it just makes sense. It creates more eyes to watch it. So I think it just makes more business sense to keep Logan champion. So I see him coming out victorious.
I mean, obviously, Prime will be its center in that ring. I don't know if we're gonna be used to that, but that Prime logo will be there, beginning at WrestleMania now, and then for the foreseeable following PLEs, that Prime bottle will be there in the middle of the ring. Nothing is sacred anymore, not even the middle of that ring. Trendsetter, no matter about it. All right,
everyone has a price, even the canvas.
A Philadelphia street fight trendsetter between the Final Testament, Karrion Kross, and the AOP against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I'm not going to call them Pride. I don't, it doesn't look right to me. So I'm going to just say Lashley and the Street Profits. Listen, I will say this one thing. I don't know how you feel about AOP and just the whole situation there. And, I don't know. It just right now they're not doing anything for me. But Karrion Kross solo, the last few weeks, some of the promos that he's done, the shape that he's gotten in, this might be as an important matchup as possible. It's just to show Triple H, that hey, you can invest in me going down the line. And I'm just putting it out there. I think this is an important match for Karrion Kross, and because of that, I think that the Final Testament beats the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley.
God, why are we agreeing on this now? I hate the fact that we're agreeing on all this.
We got more to disagree with. So
I know, but still, it just seems like it's been a pattern for the last 3 or 4 matches now. I agree too. To me, I think this is a blessing in disguise. As much as you may not like AOP, I think there's someone that helps take some of the tension away from Karrion Kross. Not that he can't carry all it by himself, but to have a group with him to get that heat from the crowd, because now you have that muscle behind you. Not that Karrion Kross isn't muscle as well, but now you have more room to dislike Karrion Kross. He'd be more devious, more conniving as well. But I feel you're right. He's definitely changed from when we saw him in Impact or TNA to where he is now with the long hair, this new look, really fully committed to it. My biggest thing has always been the fact that he always looked the part, but just was never presented in the light that you wanted to see him. Now I feel he's overcoming that hurdle where I think it's more of a vision that maybe Triple H had for him as well, in terms of what they established in NXT with him, in terms of him being this dominant force. I wouldn't say dominant champion, but a dominant force that, you didn't want to mess with. And who knows, maybe this particular one here, the street fight with no rules and things of that nature, would benefit Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits from getting their revenge, but I don't see it happening. I see Karrion Kross and the Authors of Pain walking out victorious in that street fight.
Yeah, obviously, that most definitely. All right, so now, Trent, I'm going to let you analyze this one, and then I'll see if I'll disagree with you. AJ Styles and LA Knight. Please, the floor is yours, Trent Center.
Well, again, this is going to be the consistent thing we're always talking about, where it just feels like, and I know another match we're going to be talking about soon that eludes the same, not eludes, but also mentions the same thing too. Just it feels like not enough time was based on something like this. But with AJ Styles and LA Knight, I'm sure a lot of people will feel down the fact that, oh, here we go. LA Knight had so much momentum going for him. Then The Rock came back and the whole Roman Reigns and Cody thing. Now it seems like he's no longer in that main event title picture. A lot can change after WrestleMania, but he is on the card. Something similar for AJ Styles. First time we ever saw him get injured, he was off TV for a while, came back. Then we didn't see him for a while. Came back jacked,
Yeah,
biggest, best shape we've ever seen AJ Styles in. It's a testament to the man too, where at the same time, doesn't matter how old you are, it's just you just keep evolving and changing. This is a new evolution. I like this version of AJ Styles. I don't think they really have attacked it the way they really should in terms of presenting it, because to me, this reminds me a lot of what they did in TNA when he was the lonely, individual where he just wanted to be on his own. Great match. I see LA Knight winning this one as much as I love AJ Styles, but then there's just so much more that could be built into this. But hey, in terms of what they've used, the time that they've had, great job by both men right now. And unfortunately, you love to see a title involved in this right now, but this seems to be more personal between the two. AJ really upset with LA Knight for trying to take his spot, trying to take him out. And LA Knight right now, again, if you can't give him a title, you want to give him a win at WrestleMania, one of the biggest shows. AJ doesn't really need it. You got LA Knight winning this one.
Yeah, again, even if I give you the floor first, we're still going to agree on this because as much as I love AJ Styles, who's jacked, I just for some reason I'm not happy with the fact that they've kept them off TV and not on SmackDown. I don't know why. I just I don't know. I mean, I guess his spot being taken away, I guess so. But if somebody needs a freaking win, it's freaking LA Knight because again, it's not through his fault. You've had The Rock come back, CM Punk. He's been in the back burner for a little bit and really hasn't had that. I mean, he's lost a lot of steam. The crowd still loves him, but does Triple H and company truly believe in him? Do they truly believe in this guy? We'll find out at WrestleMania, and we'll find out. I predict that he's going to beat AJ Styles. Obviously, he doesn't need it, but we will find out a lot. I think this night we find out a lot about a lot of people as we head into post WrestleMania and who the players are going to be after. We're going to find out a lot about Karrion Kross. We're going to find out a lot about LA Knight because if they are the guys going forward, they're the ones that could come out victorious in this matchup. Trendsetter, I gotta tell you this one. I'm excited for this one because the man has done the best work in a long, long time, probably ever. Drew McIntyre, that promo on Raw was outstanding. I mean, he is just taking it to new heights. I don't know who he's working with, it's Jeremy Borash, or if he's just the reins have been taken off of him and he's just being as creative as he wants to be. This version of Drew McIntyre has busted his ass. And you talk about someone that took that ball after Punk got hurt because you found out that it was going to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And for Drew to take that ball back after not finding, there's no angle, there's no avenue for him to get involved in the main event this year. It was lost. And then hence the talk of him maybe going to another company or not re-signing, right? Drew deserves his moment and he deserves to be the new champion, man. He has just put in way too much for him to be denied. I love Seth freaking Rollins, and it's going to be a tough night, a rough night. If he just loses with Cody, he doesn't turn on him, and if he loses again his title that he busted his ass for too, it's going to be a rough weekend for Seth Rollins if he loses. But how can you deny Drew McIntyre? I got Drew McIntyre winning this one, and that's going to be the one I'm going to cheer about the most because it just shows you his hard work paid off.
You said it perfectly, man. This is something that I always saw in Drew McIntyre. And you know how we talked about Roman Reigns, and there's a point in Roman Reigns where it just didn't work. For some reason, no matter how much they're trying to feed him lines or he was saying things that he was trying to be creative and funny, it just didn't sit right. And same thing was going on with Drew. He would come out and start saying, "I'm the sexy Scotsman," try to be this baby face that just wasn't believable. And even the fact he's a heel too, as well, it would always be the stereotypical things that Drew would have to do in order to get attention. And you're right, it wasn't designed for Drew to do anything in the title picture. But again, when something happens, when opportunity knocks, and in this case, unfortunately, CM Punk got hurt, there was an opportunity there. And what Drew McIntyre did, what I always thought he could do, is he took advantage of an opportunity. Finally, in my opinion, I don't know, I've never spoken to Drew, but this is my impression of it. He said, screw it. If I sign or I don't sign, this is going to be my last chance, most likely, to prove to the higher ups. I'm sure guys like Triple H and people like that believed in him, but just never saw the results when they would give him an opportunity. He said, screw it. I'm just going to go out there and just give it everything I had. I'm not going to hold back. And this is the result we get. And this is the Drew McIntyre I've always wanted to see. Drew McIntyre, it's funny, he's witty. As much as the last time he was in the ring with CM Punk, and CM Punk did everything it could to bury him, which didn't work, by the way. Drew held his own. Drew has proven that he can hold his own with anybody right now. He's held his own with Seth Rollins on the microphone and in the ring. He's held his own with CM Punk. And the scenario of this, where I feel like they've built this up now, where yes, Punk is still involved in the scenario. He's going to be guest commentator during the match. He could be involved in the match in some way, because they like to kind of shy away from the fact that he's injured, but it's not like he can't do anything physical in there, which is kind of a wink what he mentioned on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani. I think in this scenario too, it's just going to be a highlight of Drew in terms of, I feel with right now, but what's going on with Seth, he's overlooking Drew McIntyre. Drew's going to have finally the moment that he's been wanting for the longest time, which I felt, in my opinion, he had earned before the pandemic, and having his moment at WrestleMania. We thought it was going to happen with Bobby Lashley, I believe, what was it, 36 in Tampa, and it didn't happen there. This is something that I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward to this match really to see this, because I feel Drew has done everything in his power to showcase to not only us, the audience, but showcase to the company that, yeah, you could put this company on my back. I can be that champion. I can be that guy that carries this and people can pay money to see. And to me, Drew's done an amazing job. I have him coming out victorious here as your new WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
And again, the one thing I'll say on this is that this is thinking that CM Punk is going to interfere. I think he's going to. I think we can get a finish, since it's very Bret Hart finish. CM Punk is. I think we can see a finish where you get that SummerSlam kind of finish. I know that Punk is not the referee, but the referee's down.
Yeah.
And he tries to hit Drew, and he hits Seth by accident. And then he's forced to just look at Drew pin Seth, and you get the 1, 2, 3. But then, how about this? What if for CM Punk to screw Drew McIntyre over, because this rivalry between Drew and CM Punk doesn't need the title. This rivalry between Seth and Drew doesn't need a title. Punk and Seth Rollins doesn't need a title. What if Drew holds that title and then Punk maybe get it? Maybe that elbow, maybe that triceps is maybe more healed than we think, and we maybe gets a GTS or something like that, and then out comes Damian Priest. Because let's be honest, Damian Priest, if he does not cash it in here, it's going to be the flattest cash in of all time. He has to, in my opinion, cash it in at WrestleMania. I know it's been done before with Seth, but he needs to cash it in. He's just looking like a clown. There's been so many opportunities for him to go and cash it in, and because he's playing darts in the back, he's more concerned about Santos playing with his darts. He's not cashing in. So I know that Seth is not medically cleared, but the fans don't care about that.
CM Punk's not medically cleared.
No, the reason he hasn't been able to cash it in on an injured Seth is because he's not medically cleared. So he can't. That's been the excuse. Fans don't want to hear. Damian Priest needs to get him vulnerable, and this is it. It's the first time he's clear to wrestle. He needs to cash this in, and I think that'd be the best way to cash it in. But if he's not going to, and they're going to drop the ball on that, then I think that Drew McIntyre is walking away. But I could see the fact where CM Punk screws Seth and then also screws Drew once he sees that title and then walks away while Damian Priest is holding that title. That is the only way you can salvage Damian Priest Money in the Bank. And I think eventually down the road, they're going to have to fix that Money in the Bank contract. Because I don't think Triple H is a fan of it, because it constricts you, because you have to always keep in mind that, oh, that's right, I got to do that Money in the Bank some way, somehow. It kind of, to me, there has to be tweaked some way, because what's the point then if not, right? They just have to tweak it somewhere. Maybe it just passes its time, the Money in the Bank, because it just any other title that you get it and it's not the main title, what's the point, right? You're in this business to win a championship, but it's the major championships. All right, I was just saying, all right, Triple H, but it's the trendsetter.
Right, Triple H is listening to you right now. Just real quick, and to your point, you brought up a lot of great things there. I'm not gonna. We'll have more time to talk about this down the road after WrestleMania is over. But I don't think if Damian Priest doesn't cash it in, at WrestleMania. I don't think it's a blown opportunity yet. I think right now, if Drew McIntyre wins, it builds up to CM Punk. If CM Punk costs Seth Rollins, you have those three in an angle that could leave the door open for somebody to walk through the back door in a Damian Priest. I just don't think it's going to happen at WrestleMania. I don't think if he doesn't cash it in, he's blowing an opportunity right now, because at the same time, you can only do so much on one pay per view or premium live event in this case, and I think that's what's going to happen there. So I don't think he's going to cash it in. Drew will have his moment, and I think Damian Priest involved with the whole Seth, CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre, because they're all intertwined together. It's going to happen down the road.
All right, Trendsetter. Again, we're talking about rivalries and talking about matches that I wish I would have had a little bit more time. But I think, though, I'm going to give this a little bit benefit of the doubt because Bayley has been putting out some tremendous posts on social media about her feelings with Io Sky. We got a little bit of interaction between them when she attacked her backstage, Io Sky being attacked by Bayley. But these posts that Bayley has been posting about how she looked out for Io and Dakota, it's, to me, yes. But again, Bayley, you should have known. You should have known that these people owe you nothing. These people are trying to get ahead just the way that you are, and you've done the same thing to other people for you. So for you to be shocked and for you to be wondering, oh, how could this be? I don't think that's working, but I do commend the promos because you can tell Bayley cares about Dakota, cared about Io Sky and their future, and she's trying to make this division better. I get that, but I think it's just a little too late, although I respect it's commendable because it got me a little bit excited. And this is a Bayley that we're never going to hit that like we've never seen before. And I just wish Io would have had more title defenses. I just think she hasn't wrestled as much. I don't know why. I think I would love to see her in the ring more so that I could probably believe that she's going to walk away as a champion. I don't see how she walks away with that championship. And to me, when I go back at Io Sky's title run, I love Io Sky. She was amazing in Puerto Rico. The fans loved her, and she is a great wrestler. But I just don't think that this run's highlighted her well enough. And I think that when she loses this title, yes, you're gonna be happy for Bayley, but we're gonna be like, I'm gonna be like clapping at Lincoln Financial. But we're gonna be like, yeah, it could have been so much more. I don't think it's gonna resonate that moment as it could have been if this was built up more.
If we're talking about matches that could have been built up a lot more, or matches that didn't have a lot of momentum going into it, when you thought they would, you would have clearly thought that this match, in terms of what Bayley did at the Royal Rumble, and her having a moment where everybody wanted to turn from heel to babyface, and it happened, and people were so excited for it, and then I don't know what happened. I really don't. Something happened where they stopped talking about it. It wasn't a main factor in terms of WWE television, in my opinion. Then obviously the main event, which we'll be talking about Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, of Cody winning it and trying to finish his story, right? So in this scenario too, and you talked about her talking about how she looked out for Io, looked out for Dakota Kai. It's kind of hard for me. Like, it's cool to see Bayley convert now as to a babyface, right? My biggest concern with what's kind of happening now is that they're trying to make her feel sympathy. Like, you're trying to feel sympathy for Bayley when Bayley had done all the conniving, all the manipulating for her own purpose, and now we're supposed to feel sorry that it happened to her, that she wasn't the one that turned her back on Dakota and Io, that they actually turned their back on her. So it's hard for me, from a character perspective, to feel pity for Bayley, to feel sorry that, oh my God, they turned her back on her. They were family. Well, I'm sorry, Bayley. Didn't you turn your back on Charlotte? Didn't you turn your back on Sasha? Weren't these Becky Lynch? Weren't these people your family, the Ford Horsewomen, all that stuff, right? It all went out the window because Bayley was always set out for one person and one person only, herself.
And
I wish they would have brought out the fact that she's just mad that they got the better of her, as opposed to her feeling sorry that she did it, or feel sorry that she got her heart broken by her friends or family. It just doesn't sit well with me. And in terms of you thinking, yeah, Bayley's going to come out victorious, I don't see that really happening. I think that they've done so much. They've done so much in terms of Kairi Sane coming back. Now you have Asuka in the scenario. Dakota, kind of in a way, as much as Io is the champion, I really feel the person who's really the leader of Damage Control is Dakota Kai right now. I think they've done so much to build that if you have Io lose the title now, it kind of puts a standstill. Like, okay, well, now what do we do now? Of course, Damage Control will try to get the title back, but I think it's more the appealingness of the chase. And here's the thing, right? Before, in the past, we always thought the Royal Rumble winner, it was golden. This person it's going to win the title. It's a given. It's where wrestling becomes predictable. But hey, we thought the same thing last year with Cody. How many more times did we think Money in the Bank was a given, right? And what happened to Austin Theory? What happened to Baron Corbin? Baron Corbin was the first person that cashed in, actually lost after cashing in. So the predictability of it, I don't think it's predictable anymore. Just because you win the Royal Rumble now doesn't mean you're automatically going to become the champion. That's not to say that Bayley won't be eventually the champion. She won't overcome Damage Control in Dakota Kai, which is usually what happens when somebody creates a faction, the faction turns on them, and now they have to try to destroy what they created. I think that's a long-term storyline build, and it's not gonna end at WrestleMania. So I think Io comes out victorious from obviously help from Damage Control, and Bayley now is going to start her story of overcoming Damage Control and actually winning the title and destroying what she had created such a long time ago.
Well, I'll tell you this. Then they have a tough. They have a. Yeah, listen, WWE is about having people go home with smiles on their faces. And if Io Sky wins and everyone's expecting Bayley to come off winner, they are going to be. They are going to. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be thinking, okay, well then I know that I have to go home happy in this next match, and I don't know anymore. I don't.
Listen, Jeff, if WWE wanted people to have smiles on their faces, last year would have never happened then. You've never ended WrestleMania the way you did that time. You never ended WrestleMania 33 with The Undertaker losing to Roman Reigns and grown men crying in the middle of the building. That's the truth, isn't it?
Touche, but this to me, all right. So
Oh my god, we could spend another hour and a half talking about this one.
we won't. I promise you guys. But here's the thing right here with this matchup. They both have legitimate freaking stories to this one of why they should. Now, mind you, it depends. We're thinking that bloodline rules. So you're thinking that Cody's going to fight these insurmountable obstacles. You talk about schmaz. You thought that the Sting and Triple H thing had through all the kitchen sink and everything like that in their match. I don't even know what we're going to have planned for this one. You have Cena and Austin. You could have new bloodline members. You could have a whole Samoan dynasty come out. You could have Solo turn on. I mean, there is so much to go off of here that you don't know. But Roman Reigns' story is something that I think is overlooked. That's I got scared watching that documentary when he talked about that Philly redemption story. He got booed out of Wells Fargo in 2015. Not even the Rock stamp of approval let the Philly crowd let him off the hook. It was the worst moment, one of the worst moments of his life, hearing the boos, and one of the best, supposed to be the best moments to solidify him as the man in WWE going to WrestleMania by winning that Rumble. And it was the worst night of his life. Almost 10 years in the making, he's got a chance to get his redemption story on the Philly fans by beating their boy Cody Rhodes. That to me is something that, like, whoa. And then you see that, and then you talk about Roman Reigns saying that if he's not number one, he's leaving and all that stuff. I mean, that's a logical point right there. And then for Cody Rhodes, who goes on the media tour saying, "Hey, I'm gonna look like a clown if I don't get this job done, if I don't finish my story the second time around." You just don't. You're not gonna be the Buffalo Bills. That's gonna be your story. You're gonna be the Buffalo Bills of professional wrestling. Legitimate points. And we know that Cody signed, so everyone's saying, "Oh, well, he's definitely finishing the story." No, because now this story can go on forever. But do you run the risk of alienating the fan base? How much more can they support you before they stop believing in you? Right? I don't know. How do I bet against the tribal chief? How do I bet against Roman Reigns? He's in his prime, trendsetter, and and again, like he's advertised for SummerSlam. I don't know if I don't know what's the. I just don't know. I love it that I don't know, but I can't give you an analysis here what's going to happen. But I have to. So I'm gonna again. I'm don't go into this with expectations that Cody Rhodes is going to walk away as the champion, because you're going to set yourself up for a tough night. Because at the end of the night, I'm going to say I can't believe I'm going to say this until otherwise. Roman Reigns is going to leave Philadelphia still the champion. And that's it. And I'm going to go with a safe bet, but I think he's going to.
I understand that, and it's I wouldn't say it's easy. I think it's, again, any way you try to break down this match, try to break down in terms of how the story's been told, right? I'm trying to be calm when I say this because there's so many things I want to say right now, and so many aspects of what could possibly happen, right? And again, we go on and on about it too. But one of the things that I find that's so exciting is that last year, I, similar to you, and a lot of people felt that it was all written in the stars that this was going to happen. This was the scenario that everyone had been looking for. We were deciding, like, who else is there to go up against a guy like Roman Reigns. Cody coming back and kind of being that feel good story, taking the injury for the pectoral as a blessing in disguise for him to actually be there, because of the reason why he came back was obviously he wanted to win the WWE Championship for his father, right? Now this seems to be more a scenario where it just seems it's more for Cody. And I would agree with you when it comes to the fact that when you see that documentary, Roman Reigns says that all coming full circle and it's all going to come to a conclusion at WrestleMania 40 for his vindication. But I'm sorry, as much as Roman or yourself or somebody would try to convince me, I don't think that's vindication. I think the career that Roman's had, the lengthy title run, the Hall of Fame status, he's a bona fide Hall of Famer in terms of everything he's accomplished in this industry, and how he's elevated WWE in terms of all the deals he have with Netflix, the merger now with
All,
yeah,
all
exactly. All that was all on the shoulders of Roman Reigns. And it's not an insult, in my opinion, if you were to take the title off him, because at the same time, in the same scenario where Roman has become what everyone claims him to be, or what I'll say his name, Brock Lesnar, and all these other part time champions have been, I don't think it hurts his legacy if that happens. In terms of Cody, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? But with everything being said, the extension, all this stuff, I still feel that now, as opposed to last year, where it was more of the feel good story and it was the instant gratification you wanted, you've built that avenue where Cody has had to work. He's had to go through Brock Lesnar. He's had to go through all these scenarios and jump through all these hoops to get to this point. I even said to you during the Royal Rumble preview show, I was like, the only way Cody can ever get to Roman is he has to win the Royal Rumble. And even you and I didn't think it was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, when we saw the Royal Rumble happening, he pointed to Roman Reigns. We're like, all right, that's it. It's him one on one. This is the way it has to go now. Then you throw in The Rock, CM Punk getting injured, The Rock coming in, taking the spot away from Cody, and then here's the thing. Then the fans
yeah.
revolting against it. You can call them crybabies all you want. The fans revolting against seeing The Rock and Roman Reigns, a dream match we've always wanted to see. After how many more years we've wanted to see this, and it happened in the scenario where there was a storyline that was put in, a long-term storyline put in, that was going to be put aside, and the fans, the wrestling fans who always want instant gratification, said no, we don't want this. As much as we love The Rock, when you still hear them chanting Rocky, Rocky, even though they chant Rocky sucks and you die, Rocky, die, right? Still respect Rocky, but they just didn't want it at this moment. They're like, you had it last year to do it. You had the year before to do it. Maybe next year.
How does
They want this story to conclude
Cody,
one way or the other.
how does Cody recover if he doesn't win it?
There's always a way of doing it, right? There's always a recovery. In my opinion, personally, I don't think he does recover. If they decide to continue the storyline with Roman Reigns and have him as his dominant champion to surpass Hulk Hogan if he holds on to the title into September, then that's it. In my opinion, as much as I love Cody, that's it for Cody, I feel.
And
Could
then
you try to do it for 3 years in a row? It's a possibility, but then you're asking a lot of things to fall into place, because when you did that at 39, a lot of things had to work themselves out to get to this point, and they almost
no,
didn't do it. It almost didn't work, and it did. To play with that fate again in terms of long-term storytelling, I don't think you can do that 3 years in a row, in my opinion. Is it possible he can go that route? Possible. But I think at that point, if Cody doesn't win this, he's done, unfortunately. He'll be always the guy that was close to it, but just could never overcome that big obstacle.
I
If
can't.
he does accomplish it, then I don't think we see Roman Reigns for a while. But that takes nothing away from Roman, because, again, we have the opportunity where we've always said it too. And I'm not going to sit here and waste time and say that can happen now. If he loses the title, he's going to come back as a babyface, because I think he's a great heel. But I even asked you too, does he have a babyface run in him? I think so too. He says
Oh,
he's nowhere near done yet. He's
documentary.
nowhere near done. Exactly.
That documentary put him up for a babyface. And then, like
Yeah.
you're talking about, how do you, as Cody Rhodes, lose to Roman Reigns and then show up on Monday Night Raw and talk to the fans and get them back on your side? How do you do that? How do you get sold on Cody Rhodes again? And again, you mentioned the key word here, and brother. And I'm telling you, if you don't think that WWE is aware that he is that close of breaking Hulk Hogan's record to make him an all-time immortal, they're not. And how are they going to leave? This is WWE. This is not some other person that's going to leave money on the table, all the time. This is WWE. They have that record. When they're all about records, they put that 15 consecutive TV sellouts out there, right? Because it's a record. How do you brother sit on that Hulk Hogan record and not touch it? I don't know, man. I
That's going to
don't.
be the biggest question going in is do we extend this record to be second to Bruno Sammartino for Roman's legacy? Or do we stop it at this point and create a new legacy, go on with somebody else to play quarterback, as he says, in Cody Rhodes? Despite everything that's been said, all the rumors of what could possibly happen, somebody turning on somebody else, Triple H might be involved in this. I've heard rumors of that as well. On and on in terms of the possibilities. I'll end it with this because I've rambled on long enough, right? I think, despite all of that, I still feel Cody will come out victorious. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be like it was last year where I'm just going to be completely devastated. I can understand the other side of it now. But I just feel right now, if you've done all of this, and especially to me, my biggest thing is the fans have wanted it. They've chanted it. I'm not saying the fans dictate 100% how the product goes because WWE will still run the way they want to run. But more than ever, I've noticed that WWE is starting to listen a little bit more in terms of what the fans are going and what direction they want to go in. And sometimes when you wait long enough, you reap the rewards for your patience. And I think this is what's going to happen here. It's going to be a scenario where Cody, similar to what happened with John Cena and The Rock, at WrestleMania 28, he loses and now has a chance at redemption. This is another addition to the story, as they say, for Cody. And I think he will get his redemption. He will get his vindication, unlike Roman wanting to get his vindication here. And he will finally see himself in the spot where he has always seen himself, where his father and everyone's seen himself too. And again, Triple H said it himself during the presser. He has earned the right to be the face of WWE. Is that going to happen? I don't know, but I have a feeling that's where they're going. And so at the end of night 2, when the dust is settled and it's 40 or 34 degrees and it's probably snowing, and what a great ambiance would be if it starts snowing after night 2 ended, right? You'll have Cody Rhodes victorious, finally overcoming the mountain and becoming the first Rhodes to ever call themselves WWE champion. That's how I see it.
I'm gonna have to take a brief pause because you said that so eloquently. I could just only mess that up. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, that is why this is to me the most unpredictable WrestleMania probably of all time. And kudos to WWE for doing this. Kudos for the addition of The Rock. Kudos to everybody who's busted their ass entertaining us. Drew McIntyre, Seth freaking Rollins, CM Punk's been on his game even though he's been injured. Roman Reigns, The Rock, The Bloodline, Paul Heyman, and kudos to Paul Heyman who's going to the Hall of Fame as well. So I mean, there is just so many people that have just stepped up their game, and the women, Becky, Rhea, and to an extent, Io and Bailey, they've been trying to do what they've been given. So everybody has just stepped it up, and it's going to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And I cannot wait to be sitting
It has that potential to be one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time because of just it's 40. So many more surprises can happen. It could be really something that we look back on, Jeff, when we break this down when it's all said and done after night 1 and night 2 to say, wow, this is the first time I can ever recall for myself personally that, yes, we don't know what's going to happen. It's not as predictable as we once thought it was. But my God, that the ride and the journey in terms of the storytelling has been one of the best I've seen in a very long time. A lot of it might have to do with the new regime that's running WWE right now. But to me, as a fan, the only thing I would say right now to close my comments and to close the book on WrestleMania 40 till we actually see it live happen, to me, guys, just watch it and just enjoy for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And whether the person you want wins or doesn't, just appreciate everything that led up to this because everyone has worked so extremely hard, you and I included, Jeff, to get to this moment. And so just enjoy the moment. Enjoy night 1, enjoy night 2. When it's all over, we can spend hours debating and talking about what should have been done, what shouldn't have been done, or did they blow the opportunity here, or I would have done this. But my God, for the first time, I'm going to watch this as a fan, regardless of what happens, and enjoy it for what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and just enjoy it. And again, too, we will come at you each night with a live on IG at High Spot Podcast, and we'll talk about it briefly, and then we'll come back at you again with a full analysis of the post show once you get back. But again, it's going to be a tremendous night, guys. You're watching HSP Podcast. This was your WrestleMania preview show. I am Jeff Martin alongside the trendsetter Brian Berga. We are powered by Fast Break Coffee. And boy, are we going to eat some Fast Break on the road to WrestleMania because it's here, folks. It is here. Looking forward to it. Again, Follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. Follow our shenanigans this weekend. Definitely will be worth it for you guys. And again, also to like and subscribe here on the Give Us a Shot Network too, and on HSP Media. Guys, again, Trendsetter, close it out. This is your gig, man. Do what you do.
Guys, you have been on this road with us for seems like an insurmountable amount of time. Since we first started this, you guys have been with us, and we've called you the crew for a reason because you've always stood behind us during pandemics, through starts and stops, inconsistencies. But it's moments like this where I'll pull the curtain back a little bit. I won't be the trendsetter. I'll just be Brian Berger with my tag team partner here, Jeff, who's the scoundrel guys. These are moments that come few and far between in terms of this is the reason why Jeff and I do this. We do this because we just have a love and a passion for this storytelling. We love the art behind pro wrestling and sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. And it brings everyone together because we have the opportunity to just be fans again and to enjoy something that we've all enjoyed watching, and maybe not be critics in watching it, but just looking at it and just being left in awe in terms of the ride we were taking on and what a great journey it was. And then you can't wait again until next year to do it all over again. So, guys, we thank you so much for joining us here for the WrestleMania preview show. I've looked forward to this since the beginning of the year because I knew eventually this road to WrestleMania was going to lead here into Philadelphia. Despite the weather, despite the rain, I don't care. I'll wear a poncho. I don't care. I'll wear layers upon layers. If I get sick, I get sick, but it's not going to stop me from enjoying the grand spectacle of them all, guys. WrestleMania, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And I'll leave you with this real quick too. When we look at WrestleMania for what it is, and we look at everything that's been done in terms of the evolution of this industry that Jeff and I are continually doing here for you guys too, it's an interesting thing that I look at where you look at it like a movie and you see all the elements put in, all the characters. Is the sequel can be better than the original? Is the third one can be better than this? To sit down and enjoy it for the first time is amazing. So for you guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a labor of love for Jeff and I wouldn't do it any other way. Through the wee hours of the morning, through the moments that we're sick or not feeling good, we do this for you guys, and one reason only. We do this for you, the crew.
Enjoy WrestleMania, folks. It's going to be a good one.